the DJI Avata. It's a fairly new drone from DJI. It's pretty small, the thing is pretty tough, but there's been a lot of complaints from various people about a few different things with this drone. So today I'm gonna be talking about what I like about the DJI Avata and maybe a couple things I don't like about it too. And then we're gonna throw some flight footage in there to show you guys just how good this camera is, because to be honest, that's the main reason I got this drone. Let's get into it. Okay, so first off, what do I really like about this? Well, I really like that it has that 03 air unit camera in there. This camera is unbelievable. You guys, I'm not gonna bore you with like too many camera details in this review. You've already seen plenty of those, but this camera is unbelievable, especially if you pair it with the Goggles 2 over the Goggles V2. That's the older DJI goggles. The Goggles 2 come with, I think it's the Pro View combo. With this, you get the goggles, you get the drone, and you get the motion controller. And the goggles and the camera are like the main thing that I wanted this for. And I've flown it a few times already. It does not disappoint. Now, would I replace my GoPro entirely with this if I were to get into more like DJI Freestyle stuff? I'm not sure quite yet. I know that there will be, or maybe there already is, firmware support for the 4K 30 frames per second for the camera instead of 50 or 60, which this one came with stock on the stock firmware. So I don't know that I'm going to replace all of that freestyle stuff just yet. You know, maybe down the line here in a little bit, because you can't deny the image quality. Another thing I like about this is just how robust and just sturdy this feels. Like, the thing just feels rock solid, and that's really a credit to DJI's design team. I know there's a lot of hate out there with DJI, just with some of the things they do and the fact that they always seem to ignore like the freestyle and maybe racing aspect of things, but there's no denying they make a professional looking product and they are incredibly durable. Great machines. They're designed very well, mechanically speaking, and I'm really a fan of that. And the other thing is the flight time on this. Now, I think I get about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit less if I'm in sport mode, and to be honest, that's really good. Tell me the last time you flew a freestyle drone, or really any cruiser with a battery that size, that form factor and that size, that got that much flight time. It really is amazing. Those are the things I like about it. Now, the things I don't like about it really have more to do with what comes with the drone instead of the drone itself. For the official DJI kits that you can buy, or packages you can buy, you can't get one that comes with a normal, I think it's the controller too. It doesn't come with that stock. You have to buy that separately. What you do get is the motion controller, this thing. I didn't know how I'd feel about this thing because I'm definitely more of a traditional FPV guy. I like the controller in my hands and the feel of the sticks. I just think it's a lot easier to fly, especially if you know what you're doing, because I know what I'm doing. This thing, I've tried it a few times now. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would, but there's just a few things that I don't like about it. I don't like that it feels like you're just holding something out in space. It just doesn't feel, it just feels weird. Like if you've flown any normal planes or drones before, it's a weird feeling. I'm not really a fan of it. And then also just the smoothness of the flight. I don't know that I would use this to do any sort of professional work. It's too shaky. It just doesn't feel stable. It doesn't feel precise like I know it would with the controller, because I'm used to that. I know I can fly that precise and smooth. This just doesn't feel like that. However, it is fairly easy to use. You basically just point where you want to go and pull the trigger and it goes there. And you got some buttons here. This one's like a brake and this one is like take off, land, or something like that. So it is fairly easy to use. A beginner can pick it up right away. It took me like 10 seconds to learn it. It's pretty easy, but I wouldn't use it for any professional sort of thing. That's my main beef. They should have a package that includes this normal controller stock. You should not have to buy that separately, in my opinion. If anything, you should have to buy this separately. This is definitely more of a, you know, a toy that you would buy to show somebody. That's how I view it. I think a lot of people view it the same way, because I doubt you're gonna see many people doing professional shoots with this thing. I know Bubby did one, but you got to understand that Bubby's a pro. Bubby is really, really good. So his stuff is gonna look better than the average person. So you can do it. I'm just saying that I probably wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't recommend you do it either. All right, so moving on to the goggles 2. So these goggles, this is my first entry into the DJI ecosystem, really. I do have like a Mavic Air 2S, whatever, but that's not with the goggles. That's not FPV. That's just connect your phone to it and fly it around and take pictures of stuff. So this is my first entry into this style of DJI stuff, and coming from analog, I can tell you it's unbelievable. It'll blow your mind how good the image quality on these goggles 2 is. I've been flying around schools, like through metal tunnels and behind all sorts of stuff, and there's no loss in signal. I couldn't even dream about doing that with analog, and that's incredible to me. Now, the fit of the goggles themselves, it's not great. I think it's made for people with a wider face, and I kind of have a narrow little white boy face, so it doesn't fit me the best, but it's not like there's light poking through all around. So just be aware if you do get these goggles and they don't quite fit right or feel the best, that's why. You're not alone. It's just the design of these. I'm sure you can probably find some aftermarket, or maybe even DJI sells them, some different foam for this, because that would be nice. That's one thing I want to get into here. But overall, goggles are fantastic. If for no other reason than that, I would say buy this. Okay, so now a couple more things that I have a beef with about just DJI in general. And the first one, you guys have heard it many times at this point, the remote ID thing. So the one I got did not come with the updated firmware that forces you to connect to your phone for the remote ID thing, which is good. I was kind of worried that it would. But when you open the DJI Fly app, it does prompt you to update the firmware. Now, for those that are not familiar, the remote ID essentially is a new regulation passed by the FAA that states that your craft has to broadcast like altitude, speed, a few other things during the duration of the flight. And so DJI is not, they're not to blame for this. They're just complying with the regulation. All manufacturers will have to do this anyways. It's not just them. So don't get mad at them for that. You can get mad at them for many other reasons, but not that. That's on the FAA. It's just irritating that we're getting to that point now where we're gonna start seeing more of this, and there's not really a whole lot we can do. But luckily they don't force you to do it. I can fly mine just fine without that new firmware update. Although the new firmware does include a good thing, which is the 4K 30 FPS camera support. Now stock, the one I got shoots in 4K 50 or 4K 60 frames per second. And that's, I mean, it's fine, but the file sizes are bigger, of course, and you know, it's just not typically what you'd work with. It's not really an issue, it's just kind of a nice to have for the 4K 30. So I guess if you don't care about remote ID or any of that stuff, if you're perfectly willing to have your phone connected the whole time, but you want that 30 FPS, then do the update, I would say. But if you don't, if you're fine with 4K 50 or 4K 60 or any of the other various frame rates and resolutions, don't update it. It's really, there's really no reason to. You're just losing ease of use, essentially. All right, so let's fly around a little bit. I'm trying to get my controller here in the camera. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to control. It's not like challenging or anything. It's just not quite stable feeling. However, as you can see from that image quality, that goggle view, that's my view. That's what I see. And that's just amazing. I mean, it really is. So you're still getting 42, 45 megabyte speed here, or data. Like, it's just really, really good. Maybe a little break up there. 16, yeah, we're dropping a little bit. So right here is what, right here. This is where I really wish I had the real controller, because I don't know why it's doing that, but like it won't let me go down as fast as I want to, so I can't hug the cliff like I wanted to. Whereas with the real controller, I could do that a lot easier. It's just like, I don't know, it's a little jerky feeling. See that? I think it's got a brake function. Yeah. So you brake with that button, hit it again, takes it out of the brake mode. There might be a setting that I can change so that I can dive like that cliff that I wanted to before. There might be something I can do there. It just feels like it's harder than it has to be. But man, there is no denying that image quality. Look at that. I mean, that's beautiful. It really is. As you guys can see from my other freestyle videos, my analog stuff gets nowhere near that. It's not even close, really. Now it lets me dive, kinda. I was going pretty quick there, about 30 miles an hour. That's faster than I can go with my car through here, that's for sure. Way up there. All right, so at the top of this little hill here, we still got some pretty dang good reception. Full RC, 2 bars of HD, and you can see I'm way down there, and I'm actually pointed the wrong way with the controller too. High wind velocity. Better get off this ridgeline. Look at that though. Image quality is just so good. It's so good. But you can see the shakiness. I still have the Rocksteady on. But, you know, that's just not going to be, that's not going to make up for everything. There's just inherent flaws of this controller. I don't know why it doesn't let you dive faster. Look how slow that's going. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that flight footage. This thing is just so much fun to just cruise around and just take in the beauty of wherever you are. You can see from the DVR with all the numbers and data on there, that was what I was seeing in the goggles. It really is amazing. I have never experienced anything as good as that in FPV goggles. And it's so nice to fly around. It makes it a lot more fun. It makes seeing things like tree branches a lot easier. It doesn't feel as sketchy as like analog does. That part was really fun. But as you guys could see, when I was trying to dive down that mountain, it just wouldn't respond quite how I wanted it to. I wanted to dive and just hug that hill as close as I could. And I couldn't really do that with the motion controller. It just feels too wobbly, not precise. And there might be a setting I can change for that. I'm not quite sure, but just first impressions, I don't like it as much as the stick gimbals. I've already gone over that before, but just be aware of that if you're getting into this. If you want a better, precise feel, you're going to have to buy that remote controller. I think it's like $250 or something like that. It's not like too cost prohibitive, but it's still just another thing that you got to buy. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review and the flight footage. I hope I helped you make a decision either for or against it. And just to reiterate, if you want something that's fun, has great image quality, this is the drone for you. But if you want something that out of the box can perform the function of like a Cinewhoop, I don't think I would get this. I would probably go with a Cinewhoop or something like that with a more traditional controller just to get that better, precise control. But until next time, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, drop a like down below. Feel free to leave me a comment and please subscribe if you haven't. See you on the next one.